I'm Hayden Turner, also HT, whatever you want to call me, it's fine.
And yeah, it's going to be a good afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a few things to follow up from this morning, and I'm sure we're going to find at least a type of cat, maybe two types of cats, big cats obviously, and as always looking forward to it. You're going to head over?
Yeah, I'm going to head over to where we left off this morning, and thanks so much for coming back. If you had an opportunity to, we did something that we don't do very often, that's come back on air after close, but it was just as we closed we spotted the lions, so we thought we'd just come back on for 5 or 10 minutes and say hi to them with you. I'm going to head back over. I doubt that they would have moved, mate, in this heat. Hey,
might have melted a bit lower into the ground, just sort of, lion, even flatter than what they were before. But yeah, I don't think they've gone far. Right? This has been quite hot. I don't think we're going to get rain this afternoon, so that's brilliant. And when it does cool down towards sunset, hopefully there's a few things moving. As you know, for those of you that maybe joined us on the sunrise drive, there is a baby impala that was caught presumably early hours of the morning, very early hours, because it's hardly been fed on, by a leopard. We don't know which leopard. She was briefly seen by some of the guys back in control, Will, Alex, both Alexes, and Scott as well. And so there is a cat around. We suspect it might be Karula, which would be quite exciting, because then the potential is that Karula and both the boys could be in the area, but maybe one of the young males. It hasn't come back because it's so close to the lodge, but we're going to keep an eye on that. So yeah, there's potentially some good things around. The kingfishers are going crazy today after the rain. So
absolutely
that's nice.
Crazy, aren't they? Haven't stopped.
It's the bush has come alive with the sound of bird song.
It's fantastic. So we're definitely going to see all the other wonderful things. We will also go down and check on that hippo and see what the story is there and follow that. There's loads of stuff to do, mate. Good luck always. Cheers. Take care. Bri, VM, we're going to go. Good if I start the car first.
Yes, that's all right.
Helps.
I can speed in my door.
Okay, have a great one, guys. See you soon.
All right, let's okay,
have a great one, guys. See you soon.
All right, let's it's not too unpleasant in the shade, and you can see just by the background there, there's a lot of challenges for Brian there from an exposure point of view. Let us know you're on drive, and we can have a little chat if you like. Always nice to know your name and where you're from if you have anything to ask. Anything, but it's just a funny. No. A few impalas just walking in the distance there. They, how should we put it, mildly interested in getting active. They're not very active yet. You can see quite a few of them in the shade. There's a youngster. Just sit here for a few minutes. Most of them are still just keeping out of the sun, keeping a little bit cool. It would be from this herd that one of the youngsters were caught last night. They've been on quarantine for the last nice to see them. You can see the insects flying around as well. Most of these are flying ants, or actually flying termites. Thousands, or actually millions of them will be flying around looking to start new colonies. They will feed many thousands of birds and smaller mammals and things that catch them as well. This little guy was born, a little girl was born probably last night, early hours of the morning. Yesterday we had 4 here, and this morning we had 8 or 9 that we counted, plus one that a leopard got. So they are having young ones almost on a daily basis, well, not almost, literally on a daily basis at the moment. You can see how alert this little one is already, just following mum's posture, looking around, listening. Not even 24 hours old yet. It's amazing how quickly they catch onto the routines of being a wild animal out here. sticking close to mum. It's the safest place to be. For the start, we're going to head pretty much straight down to Voitila Dam or Gowrie Waterhole in front. It is very hot. There were a few buffalo around earlier, just trying to keep cool by wallowing, lying in the mud, lying in the water. A couple of hippos from this morning, so we'll just see what's going on there. Obviously when it's this hot, waterholes are popular, but with the rain we had last night, I haven't actually found out exactly how much it was, but at least an inch, maybe a bit more. There would now be quite a bit of water sort of everywhere in the bush, at least for the next few days, but not really enough to have a massive influence on things like buffalo and elephant. They would still use the bigger waterholes, but it could mean that things like leopard and lion and animals that are in smaller groups like kudu or bushbuck and so forth, they could be getting their water from those smaller sort of puddles. We'll still see what happens over the next few days. Maybe some more rain on the way. There will be an amazing transformation in the next 72 hours. Early next week it will be dramatically more green, start becoming a little bit lusher as well. It's always amazing that the speed with which the bush can react to good rain like yesterday, especially the fact that there was so much lightning. It makes for very rich nitrogen rain, so it's good for the plants. Sure. Hello, Mike. Mike's been part of the Wild Earth experience and team for a long time. Mike is one of the zoomies, the guys that help look after the cameras. And Mike, nice to hear from you as always. Early hours of the morning, 2:15 a.m. Let's go have a look. Yes, the new intro is very nice. Thank you, Rafi. Wonderful job there. Vicious sun this afternoon. It's got a tenacity to it that reminds me of tenacious things. Hey, elephant! We like elephants. And this guy's had a good bath as well. You can see he's looking really dark In fact, let me go around, Brian, and give it a bit, not so much into the sun. Not so much into the sun. They look so beautiful, and they've been swimming or mud bathing like this. Really nice and dark, the skin. Not a bull that I recognize straight away. It's got that left tusk of his that's got the tip broken off. No specific or major other markings. So I think it's a bull that's newish to the area. I mean, one of the bulls we might have seen in passing, but not specifically spent time with. See what his plan is. These guys eat a lot. I mean, an elephant can eat roughly about 5% of their body weight. Now, this is not a massive bull yet. He would be, I'm guessing, late 20s, early 30s maybe. So, and weight-wise, he's not particularly big. Not particularly tall at the shoulder. He's got a nice big head already, but he's not a monster-sized elephant. So I would say probably in the region of 4 tons, maybe up to between 4 and 5 tons somewhere. So that's about between 8,500 and 11,000 pounds. So 5% of that a day is quite a lot. That's 250 kilograms a day, 500 odd pounds a day. It's a lot of vegetation to work your way through. And they also spend a lot of time feeding because of that. So they will spend 14, 15, 16 hours a day feeding at the pace we're seeing now. I mean, it's not like a big rush. He's just eating a bit of this, eating a bit of that. Everything from the tops of trees down to the roots, grasses, some of the little small shrubby plants you get, and even digging out, as I said, roots, but also some bulb plants and things like that. So really the whole spectrum of vegetation that's available they utilize to some extent or another. The ears just moving. You can actually see behind the ears there the vein structures. Very, very important part of the cooling system. It's about 20% of the exposed body surface. Keep in mind the ears have got 2 sides to it, so you can imagine if you were to fold that open compared to the total skin area of the total body skin. So it is a very, very, very important part of their cooling mechanism. Moving the ears through the wind can cool the blood by quite a few degrees if need be. I used to actually know exactly how much. I think 2 to 3 degrees Celsius or something like that, that it can make a difference to the blood temperature, and the blood goes to the brain after the ears. So the ear is the, call it the radiators if you want. So they really help to get rid of excess body heat and making sure that the brain, which is obviously important, highly intelligent animals, they need to get the blood at the right temperature before it reaches the brain.
we're going to get back to this guy again. He's just having a lazy stroll down towards, I presume, the next tree. He was standing in the shade here, and he probably will do the same again. When he's moved off, we'll go to the water, I'll look around there, and then come back here again. Okay, great. Well, we go down to this waterhole to see what's around. HT has made it Treehouse Dam. He was looking around for that hippo, but he found some other big things there. So enjoy it that side, and we'll see you back here in a little bit.
Well, this is a bit of a familiar place for all of us each afternoon. I come down expecting to see this old resilient old hippo here. He's not here at the moment. We're definitely going to come back a little bit later. We just heard a buffalo come down to have a little drink whilst when we pulled up. But the interesting thing was we really had a close sort of investigation this morning about where his whereabouts, and we couldn't quite figure out where he was going during the day. So we did have a look around all the surrounding roads, which is in a sort of a block or a triangular sort of shape, and we couldn't see any of the tracks coming across the road. So there was no spoor, that word that means tracks or signs, and there was nothing. Now the only other deduction we came up with, which we probably should have come up with in the morning, but Brian, our wonderful cameraman on Pete's truck, said, what about if you left the pool or the pond or the dam whilst it was still raining? And that's a very, very good point. So this is that whole sort of deduction, systematic deduction of what the tracks mean. He could have come out, and it rained so heavily last night, his tracks could have been obliterated and we wouldn't have even seen them this morning. So there's a potential that he did leave through the rain and has gone somewhere else. We are not sure where, but we'll definitely come back later on. What I did want to show you was this morning, that's what we were looking for. Okay, that's the shape track or footprint we were looking for this morning. Those very distinct four toes, and I do apologise. This morning I said he was an odd-toed ungulate, but then corrected myself. But an even-toed hoofed animal with those four toes, and that is the track of a hippo that we would be looking for on the ground. So it's a really tricky one if they're very, very obvious tracks, but we just didn't pick any of them up. And as I said, they could have been obliterated with the rain. So basically, we've stopped. We're going to have a quick look if there's any tracks coming out again, just in case he's been back or forth. But we're going to make our way over to Arathusa, which the exciting thing about that is we're pretty sure, can't always say, but we're pretty sure we're going to find those lines still there. They're probably not going to be doing much at the moment because it's incredibly hot still, as Pete said, about 39, was it, about 100 or 38 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius, 100 Fahrenheit, very, very warm. A lot of the animals are coming down to drink, so we will go via twin dams and have a bit of a squiz down there as well. A little bit of a look around. We did pass an elephant just a minute ago that some of you may have seen with us before. He's a shame. He's lost half of his trunk, and if we come across him again later on this afternoon, he's around this area. He's lost half of his trunk. It's nearly half the size. He's about 25 years or 25 years old. He still looks quite healthy. He's in good vigor and health, but I don't know how long that will last as he gets bigger and bigger. He's had to change his behavior or his actual posture when he feeds. I saw him hunched right over trying to feed the other day. That over time, over like 15-20 years, may play a little bit of havoc on either his hips or his skeletal structure or something. Not sure. He might be absolutely fine. He might modify his feeding, but at the same time, he's looking fine. But it just is a real shame that he's lost that. Now, it could have been several things. When he was really, really young, he might have had an altercation with a big predator, a lion. Who knows? It's more than likely that he got his trunk caught in a snare.
Now that's a very serious situation. It happens all over the world, but you know, sometimes it happens where the animal accidentally puts its trunk into a snare that's meant for something else, and it can painfully lose that trunk, and lots of animals unfortunately do succumb to that. It's a very sad thing, but it's highly illegal, as we all know, but at the same time it potentially didn't happen here. It could have happened in Kruger, could have happened anywhere. Anyway, short story, he's okay, and we might actually just go back up and see if he's there and go that way down to Twin Dams. But no hippo, guys, so just hold on, it's a little bit bumpy through here. See if that elephant that I was just talking about is still at the top of this road, because we can go this way. So it's just good to show you that track. That was the track that we were looking for this morning, and as time goes on we'll use that technology to show you more tracks. I took photographs this morning of tracks by the side of the vehicle, which is a really nice way just to get some information through technology to you. And all those tracks that we saw this morning were beautiful. They were all in that really soft, wet sand. The temperature's been rising all day, and so the ground has dried considerably. And it's very humid today, so our predators are potentially going to be, or probably more than likely, are all going to be in the shade, coping with the heat at the moment. See if we can see this elephant. There's fresh droppings there from this elephant. I think what the exciting thing is when you leave the morning like we did this morning, we know that we've got a couple of leads on cats, and we can follow those up. Can you see him, Van? He was just up here, wasn't he?
Yeah.
We're just going to have a little look along here to see if we can see that elephant that we were just talking about. And there's a really interesting thing. He's not very tolerant of vehicles. I came around the corner at a very slow pace and he just ran. So there's definitely some history there with this elephant. Whether it's a bad taste in his mouth from humans or what, I'm not sure, but it's a real shame. Here he is, just here. So I'm just going nice and slow here. But he seems to be feeding and getting on okay. He's a beautiful looking bull. He's definitely he's a little bit edgy, this guy. He runs when we go too close, so I'm just going to stay at this distance because I just want you to get a little look at that trunk. You can see it's nearly half its length. He's got beautiful tusks, and we saw him the other day. He's a loner, which who knows why. I mean, you could speculate on loads of different things, or whether, you know, it's got to do with his trunk or what, but I doubt it. It could be just coincidence, and elephants do sometimes spend prolonged periods on their lonesome, and then might meet up with a bachelor herd, or potentially trail a breeding herd if a female was in estrus. So he's starting to get a bit more comfortable with us, but when we did come around the corner there, he did sort of go off at quite a fast pace. But look at him, he's eating. He's just eating the foliage or the browse that's available to him at that level. So I think he's probably going to be okay. When he goes, he has to drink water. If it was the low season and there wasn't a lot of water around, he might have to bend down to drink. But if it was high season and there was good available water, he'd probably be able to walk into the water and drink, which I imagine what he would do, rather than bending down. But he probably would have a bit of a, you know, I saw him doing that bending down posture the other day when he was trying to get some grass, and it was an odd sort of position to see an elephant in. His back was very, very round, and his spine was had a massive curvature on it, and I'm sure over time that, well, potentially over time, that could be detrimental to his posture and mechanics of his skeleton. But all in all, the great story is that he's come this far and he's in really nice shape. He's healthy. He's feeding. So yeah, he's quite a character. I do like him, and he's starting to get really used to us as well. When I first saw him the other day, he was a little bit nervous, and now he's calmed down a little bit. I just heard cracking of branches off to the left, probably about 150 meters away, about 300, 400 feet. But that could be he could be just trailing the edge of a bachelor group at the moment, so I don't know. He's lovely, isn't he? I'll just poke my nose in a little bit closer and see what he feels. I'll get a really good indicator very, very quickly whether he's up for us moving a little bit closer or not. No, he doesn't want us to come any closer to him, so we're going to back away from that, and that's fair call. That's fair call. He's got some into his mouth there, which is interesting because a lot of elephant will use their trunk to actually strip the foliage off, then put it into the mouth. He's actually putting it into his mouth, holding it on with his big platy teeth into his mouth there, which is interesting because a lot of elephant will use their trunk to actually strip the foliage off, then put it into the mouth. He's actually putting it into his mouth, holding it on with his big platy teeth, and us over the coming days. I really like this guy. He's a very, very nice animal. Okay, let's head down to Twin Dams and see what we can see down there on our way to Arathusa, and we'll cross. Very hot out here today, folks. We're really making sure we keep well hydrated. It's easy to drive along and just keep talking and looking and talking and looking without keeping yourself hydrated, and before you know it, you've got a lovely little headache going on. So excuse me just drinking all the time, but we really need to. Quite exciting when we found those lines this morning. I was watching the clock and I was just like trying so hard to find them for you before we closed, and it was just a few minutes later that we saw them. And it looks to be 4 males, youngsters, still yet to ID them, but I'm working on that as well. So in the control room today we've got Pete and Will and Alex ×2 all running the control room for us, and Jason as well, who's great to have around, and he's probably going to be around tomorrow. We might get Jason on camera again in the coming days. And Scott, of course, which is fantastic, getting to know Scott. Great guy, really knowledgeable, fitting straight in, such a nice, easygoing guy. You're going to really like him. Bit of cloud cover coming in from the southwest. Don't think it's an issue for us tonight, but we'll keep our eye on it. The ground's still quite moist down here. The reason why we go to these water points is there's a good chance that, you know, lots of animals are very hot and thirsty, and they probably frequent the water holes this time of the day, whereas the cats will still be, or the predators will still be, as we always say, holed up or in the shadows. And there's always exceptions to that rule as well. You can see leopard and lion drinking at this time of the day, but normally it's in the later hours or at night. Nice buffs. I mean, I stop at them a lot, I know I do, but I just think they're fantastic, and they're everywhere. There's a lot of buffalo here, great population. Very impressive boy here, giving us the look. That's the look. That's that powerful, powerful look that they give to you. Show you who's boss. See him through there. Beautiful. And they really love hitting the water holes this time of the day, lying in the water for a while, cooling down, drinking, socializing. We just got a tweet from Rita asking if I said Peter was in the control room. Well, Peter is in the control room, Rita. I should have given you more clarity on that. We have 2 Peters and we have 2 Alexes. It's not confusing at all. We have 2 Alexes, 2 Peters, 1 HT, 1 VM, 1 Brian, and 1 Will. But Peter, our other Peter, is in, and he is one of our technical geniuses in that room. It keeps things going. I do desperately want to show you a woodland kingfisher, which have been going absolutely crazy today, but there's none going crazy at the moment. But we'll definitely show you one. A beautiful bird, which we had a look on the graphic on the app before. This is pretty nice. Have a look at this, guys. Some warthog piglets. Look at those little guys running up the road. Can you see them? It's a very small, short glimpse of the tiny little guys. A little bit uncertain of who we are, so they scooted off. Having a look at the best way for me to go here. Okay, we'll do that. So the road we're going to look for these lines are it's a little bit in uncharted territory for me. I'll have to use the map quite a considerable amount of time on the map just to make sure I go down the right roads, and there's a couple of roads that are a bit blocked off at the moment just because they're very muddy and the reserve doesn't want to turn into a really thick just mud slick road, so we stay off those roads and make sure we just use alternative routes around. So I was just looking to see what the best way around was, and we'll work through that together. Temperature's dropping a little bit, ever so slightly, in the shadows. Afternoon shadows are lengthening. It is a beautiful time of the day. And if you've got any questions, please send them off to us on email, questions@wildearth.tv, or you can tweet us at #SafariLive. There's a few corrugations on this road, folks, so you might get a little bit of bumping on the camera. We'll take it a bit slow, of course. Definitely a feeling of things coming alive today. The rain, a bit of moisture on the ground, and going to stop here in the shade, which is always a pleasure. And I'm going to cross to Pete and see what he's up to. We're going to make our way up to these lines. I've got a spot on the map where I know exactly where they are, and as soon as we get closer, we'll come back to you. See you real soon.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed this buffalo. I'm sure the buffalo enjoyed the mud wallow. It's quite hot for us. I mean, as long as we're moving, it's not too bad because we've got that breeze, and we can obviously cool ourselves down with evaporative cooling by sweating. Most animals don't really sweat, so that's a benefit we have. We don't have to go and lie in a muddy waterhole to cool down, although it does look very tempting sometimes. We're up here on one of the high points. We can see quite a bit of the horizon sort of in the distance. We're heading almost due west. Slowly just sort of winding our way around. This is a road called Leadwood Road. Just making our way sort of leisurely back towards Boitella area. I want to get there a little bit closer to sunset time, hopefully. This is the tiniest little snake. I don't know if you can see it. Let me just turn a bit more on the road. Just yeah, there you go. Down a little bit. Down slightly more, bit more. There we go. And that's a tiny little, I don't even know what that is. One of your blind snakes, or you get these sort of almost worm-like snakes. Didn't get a close look at it as well. I just saw the sort of shimmering off it. There we go. Into the grass. Could look just like a little stick. Very, very difficult to say. It is in the grass now, but very, very small. Could be a very young snake as well. One of your maybe like a stiletto or your burrowing asp. A variety of snakes could look like that, especially when they're really young. And this is the time for young snakes. After the rains, you'll find a lot of reptile life, insect life, amphibious life, all coming out now. So you could see a few more of those as the afternoon goes on. It's certainly hot enough for them. This is a difficult one. Brian is sitting just on the branch there. It's a bird that we've tried a few times. They're very tough to see. Let's see if it sticks around. It's called an emerald spotted dove or green spotted dove, depending on when they've changed the name. I've always loved the name emerald spotted dove. And the sun is slightly at the wrong angle, although the light is catching its face beautifully. Look at that. Those little spots on the wings. When the light catches it just right, it's got that iridescent, like an emerald sheen to it. And they have one of the most beautiful calls in the bush. Very melancholy. what they sound like. Hot afternoon. If you're lucky enough to be somewhere in the shade, relaxing a little bit, and you hear that call, it just feels like everything in the world is fine. All is good. See, this one is a little insect. Can you see that, Brian? Get some sun on it. There we go. So the kind of beetle. It looks almost like a Christmas beetle, but Christmas beetles are mostly nocturnal. If any one of you is really into insects, then try and get an ID for us. It'll be brilliant if you can help me tell me what exactly that is. But this time of year now, we will be seeing thousands of insects, and whenever I spot one, I'll try and point it out. A slight sort of shininess to it almost, but just nice to see all this different life that maybe a day ago, 2 days ago would hardly have been out. And you can hear it as well. You can just hear the volume of the bush around us, the sound of life. We've got a Hello Julie, that's a question we get quite often in the bush. Julie wants to know which is the most dangerous or the most venomous snake that we get out here, and do we carry anti-venom on the vehicle? Sorry guys, that's a bit of a random thing, but let's just want to grab it quickly. This could make a very nice walking stick. Got the big knobbly bits on it. Let's stick it in here. I know HT makes walking sticks. Can you lift that up? Right. Thank you very much. Sort it out later. HT does a lot of, every now and again, make some walking sticks, and that one would make a good, what they call a knopkierie, which is the Afrikaans originally, but now the sort of African slang name for a walking stick with a heavy knob on the end. Knopkierie. Julie, about the most venomous snake. Firstly, no, we don't carry anti-venom on the vehicle. Anti-venom is quite a serious medicine or drug, if you want. It's not something you can just carry around. You normally need a doctor to administer it. And also anti-venom, if you don't know exactly what's going on with regard to which snake it is, can be quite dangerous. So and as far as the most venomous snake goes, it's the black mamba. And it's got a very strong neurotoxin. It's got cytotoxic venoms, similar to your rattlesnakes. For them, antivenoms don't work. So we don't carry it, and yes, we get a lot of venomous ones, of which by far the most dangerous is the black mamba. Alright, elephants block the road there a bit, no problem, on we go. More elephant roadblocks. You must realize that we see this quite often on the roads because elephants do push a lot of trees over. But also they often walk on the roads. It's a nice easy place for them to walk along, and then they see a tree that they feel like they want to eat the top leaves, they push it over, and also they want to push it over in such a way that they can eat the top leaves, so very often they will push it into the open section, which is the road. So you get this quite often. I'll be cleared away again somewhere in the next few days. Let's try and see. Another thing we've been struggling to see, a little squirrel. It looks like a baby actually. Yes, it's a baby. On the tree trunk here on the left bottom side. This is actually the tree that gives this road its name. I said earlier it's called Leadwood Road. And this is the dead leadwood tree that's been standing here probably for a few hundred years. And it makes a perfect home for lots of things. There's always birds living in it. Starlings, oxpeckers often nest here. And of course, squirrels. And this is still a youngster. This is one that will be staying close to home. I'm sure it's got a nest is inside this tree. The adults are maybe off foraging. And this one's just running around a little bit. So, lovely view of of what must easily be one of nature's cutest animals. This is a little tree squirrel, which is the only squirrel species we actually find in this area. Beautiful bird song that we can hear. Also in this tree, and almost, not certainly, but highly likely that this bird also nests here right at the top there. Also trying to hide from the sun, the same as the squirrel, just sitting in the shadowy side or the shady side of the tree branch. There we go, right at the top. This is a starling, and more specifically it's a Birchall starling. Singing a little song for the world. Got some serious competition from the woodland kingfisher on the other side. Can't mimic the woodland kingfisher perfectly, but that's roughly the sound. Tracks, nothing urgent, nothing fresh. This is one of the main boundary roads in this area, and only it's a nice easy way. Break up a little bit, we have to go through a deep dip here. This is one of the in the whole area. It shouldn't last long.
So folks, we've just come over onto Arathusa now, and we're making our way to the line sighting that we found this morning, and hopefully they're still going to be there. I'm pretty certain they will be. They look very, very hot and in a very comfortable location. So we'll see who else is there. There might be some other vehicles there. If there are, we might have to wait for a spot, but the guys are incredibly forthcoming with fitting us in and getting us close so we can bring these wonderful pictures to you. So we're just sort of gently meandering our way through Arathusa, and it's a beautiful, beautiful reserve. We had a question the other day about those humps. We go over lots of those humps, and you may wonder what they're for. Well, they're actually sort of contour humps or mounds that have been put in to direct the water off the road. And get right here. And they serve a very, very important purpose. So these roads that we drive on don't become channels that are so deep that you can't actually, the bottom of your car touches your vehicle. So the humps are very big when we go over them, but they serve a very, very important purpose, particularly in land management and in avoiding erosion. Still mighty warm. That leopard over on Djuma is a complete mystery. Well, when I say a mystery, we just could not find her before, her or him. We don't know who it was, but Pete's definitely going to put some work into that tonight, and we know what an insatiable appetite he's got. We all have, but Pete's fantastic at finding those leopard, particularly the ones in those old haunts where he knows that they used to frequent, and Karula used to frequent that area quite a lot. Even when Pete was living there, he used to see them very, very close to his house. I just want to give a little shout out to Connie in Iowa. Now Connie, I mentioned you the other day. Connie was the lady that found or saw the footage of our mystery sort of bull, our resilient old bull that's injured. She saw the battle between that bull and the dominant bull in Viola Dam, and she reported that information to us, so it gave us a lot of intelligence on what happened. So Connie, I just want to say thank you so much for that, and I do apologise, I forgot your name the other day, but now as soon as Will just told me then, I asked him if he could just research it. The guys there, Will and Alex, found it for me. So Connie, thank you so much. Fantastic. More eyes in the sky I've got now. It's brilliant. And everyone I know that watches those cams, and all the zoomies around the world that volunteer their time so generously. I thanked you yesterday, but you do an exceptional job, and just another big thank you to you today. Just looking at my map as I go, folks, so that's where I'm looking down like this. I'm looking at a live, I've got a special app on my handset that allows me to track the vehicle live on a map. It shows me exactly where I am. Now, you know, map reading skills are really important in life. I think one of the things we do is forget about them. I teach orienteering courses back in the United Kingdom in another role that I have, and they're really important to let your kids know, or your adults. I tell you what, there's a lot of adults that we come along that need to refresh their skills as well. We all do. If you don't use it, you lose it. And just nice to know how to read a map, but for time's sake and just to get us to these locations a little bit quicker, I'm using this app. It's still maps and there's still fantastic things, but it's just that whole thing that I love about combining technology with old world sort of techniques, but using the new sort of world technology that we've got and applying both together. And it allows us to cover more ground and do more things to show you even more pictures coming from Sabi Sands here in South Africa. Live, which is the most extraordinary thing out of the whole thing for me. Live, it's just so brilliant. Folks, we're nearly there, but we've got a little ways to go. I'm just going to creep through here because I like to have a look as well at these new roads and everything. So we'll stop at this crossroads here, or this two-way, pick the left or the right. I've got my map. I'm going to go left because I know where I'm going today, but we'll come back to that and we'll play with a bit of that later on as well. You can steer the direction after we've seen these lines. We're going to cross back to Pete and see what he's up to, and I'll come back to you as soon as we get closer and we find something. See you soon.
Well, nice, beautiful sunny afternoon. The light is getting a little bit of that golden feel now, which is great. Got a lovely, typically African setting here. One of the animals that people associate most strongly with Africa. After lion and elephant, zebra and giraffe are the two animals people most often think of when they think of wildlife in Africa. This morning we were talking at one stage, if I remember correctly, it was Marco that asked the question about the stomach of hippos specifically. We discussed the differences between ruminant stomachs and hindgut fermenting stomachs. And zebra are also the same as hippo, the same as elephant. They've got hindgut fermenting stomachs. It's a much larger stomach cavity and very different from the stomach that you would find in, for instance, giraffe or impala. And that's also why they have such a large stomach, because of this large stomach cavity and also a lot of gas in it. Because of the digestive, it's almost like a fermentation process if you want the digestive tract. But in this specific case, the female we're looking at here, she's pregnant as well. So that's a extra part to her stomach size. And from the looks of it, she'll probably have a foal somewhere in the next few weeks. It's not very far away. Very good condition though, she's healthy. So who knows, maybe we see this one as well. That'll be amazing to see a zebra birth. This rain is good news for obviously all the wildlife, especially zebras. They are grazers, and to an extent they're bulk grazers, so they eat quite a lot of, they need to eat a large volume of food. And this obviously means good green grass for them already, but just more and more so over the next days and weeks. Oh, there's a tortoise. Yes, there we go. A leopard tortoise. I think if the tortoise keeps going like that, he might be able to tell his tortoise friends later on today that I ran past a zebra this afternoon on my way over to Pan, which is the little waterhole close to us. He's moving quite fast though, as much as tortoises can move fast. Leopard tortoise, of course, is one of the small five. Off he goes. I wonder where he's going. He might actually be going down to the water. We might just stick for him for a little bit. Let's see where the leopard tortoise goes. There's that heavily pregnant female just moving around the back. This is the stallion in the foreground, you know. With zebras, you've got a fixed herd structure. They're not as territorial, so they don't stick to specific areas. They can move around quite a bit, but the group structure is quite strict and quite fixed. We've got a stallion and anything from 1 to about 7, 8, 9 females or mares in his harem. And then the young ones leave as they become mature. Normally about 1.5, 2 years old when the young ones leave the herd, whether they're stallion or mares. This is the guy. He'll be the patriarch of the group. Go a little bit forward, see if we can spot this tortoise again. Maybe it's stopped now. I don't see it at the moment, but the grass was getting longer. It's a bit of a random coincidence. While looking at the zebra just now, a tortoise came past. Fairly well camouflaged actually, leopard tortoises. They've got leopard light, I guess. I mean, that's where the name comes from, but got this beautiful blotchy pattern on the shell, and obviously camouflage is working. I can't spot it at all now. Brian, can you see it? I see some elephant dung which looks like tortoises, but that's about it. Maybe it stopped somewhere. Got a good example here. From this rain we had last night, it was heavy enough that obviously it wets the whole surroundings and the bush itself, the soil, but you also get these little puddles like here. There's Brian and myself in the back. You get these kind of water holes, little wallowing holes really, that fill up with the runoff water, and that provides drinking water for a lot of small things, birds and insects, mammals even, you know, not your big herd animals, but a lot of smaller animals. And then also wallowing spots. That's a great little place for a buffalo or a warthog or something to go and roll in and cool down. And over the years, 10, 20, 50, 100 years, these little pans will become bigger slowly and slowly. Every warthog that goes and rolls in it walks off, and he's got a couple of 100 grams or maybe a kilogram of mud in him. A buffalo is here, he rolls in it, a nice muddy bath. He walks off and he's maybe carrying 2-3 kilograms, 5-6 pounds of mud on him. And enough animals do that over time, and eventually gets deeper and bigger and holds more water and becomes a nicer wallowing spot. And eventually you get these little water holes just randomly through the bush, effectively built by the animals themselves. Might get a little break up.
So folks, we've just come back to this lion sighting, and we're just making our way in. There's another vehicle there. We're just going to gently go down here and see if we can find these guys again. I'm sure they're still here. Bingo, right ahead. Well, isn't that a pleasure? Isn't that beautiful? We've just turned up. They're exactly as they were. Well, not exactly as they were, but they're similar, and they're still here. They're still exactly in the same place that they were. Just moved into the shade a little bit more, and very, very relaxed. We're only about we're about 5 meters away from them. 5 meters, which is about 15 feet, and very relaxed, very hot. Definitely just still going to be chilling here for quite some time. But it's definitely 4 males. Nice big yawn. Lovely. Now you may hear me clicking away here, guys, so I'm just going to take a few photos just to get some IDs on these animals. So if there's a bit of background noise here, you'll know what that is. Taking lens caps off and things. Well, we've got 4 flat big cats at the moment, and we probably will sit here for a while with them and then go off and do a bit of a drive around Arathusa and then come back a little bit later, because and that's a brilliant thing, a very, very good bit of intel for us to have our focus on them. And it would be so easy if you were walking through the bush to not even see these individuals lying in the grass, and that's when you get a bit of a shock. It'd be very, very easy to just walk along, and you would definitely get a bit of a shock if you came across these 4 guys. They're lying down flat, and sort of the grass gets a little bit longer, they'll be difficult, very, very difficult to see, other than that tail flicking up in the air, and that's what's a bit of a giveaway for us. We get that tail flick, and it does attract your attention as you're driving through the bush, that big flat tail flick just like that. Rolling over. Life is tough here on Arathusa. More than likely our brothers. Not always, but more than likely. Laura's just asked a question, do lions mate for life? Well, the answer to that, Laura, is definitely no. The females in the pride may be related, but the males definitely won't be. There's takeovers left, right and centre with lion prides, and what will happen is you'll get a successful male. So if there's low numbers in an area, you will more than likely to see just one male, dominant male in the pride. but if the numbers in a particular area are a lot of lines, you will find individuals will form coalitions, and there's a huge advantage with being in a coalition. You've got much more power. You can take over these single male line prides very, very quickly and easily, and have great success at spreading your genetic needs over that pride. Now, it's a bit of a tricky one, because the dynamics in these prides are extraordinarily complicated, in that the more in the coalition, the more unstable it can sometimes become. One would think that you would just get this sort of ratio going up and up and up and up, and like 9 or 10 males gathering and becoming a gang type of thing, and havoc wreaking across the line sort of community. But it doesn't get really much more than, sort of, from the records that I've read and the books that I've read, and I've never seen more than 3 myself in a pride, but the common is about 4 at the max. And then there's always exceptions to the rule as well. Always exceptions to those rules. So these 4 individuals will actually be a massive force to be reckoned with, and they will easily take on a pride with less males than them, and probably, I would say, more than likely be successful. I'm just going to take a few photographs here, folks. Shelley in Ontario, Canada. Hi there, welcome Shelley, and thanks so much for joining us. Shelley's question is, does line and leopard territories overlap each other? The answer to that, Shelley, is yes, they definitely do. They will come in contact with each other more often than you think, and leopard would definitely take a decision to sort of get out of the way of a lion, and I'm sure there's been fatalities, definitely there would have been fatalities from lion on leopard, but probably not the other way around. There's always these exceptions to these rules, and you know, it just depends. The leopard is a very, very successful hunter, and anything could happen. If there was a very, very serious drought or something like that, and a female's vigour and health had deteriorated so much that her cubs were vulnerable, a leopard may take advantage of that situation. But generally speaking, lion overpower on the pecking order of the big cats. Lion are on the top, then leopard, then cheetah, and then the smaller cats like serval and caracal. But definitely lions are the top of the pecking order there.
From Birmingham was last crossover to Birmingham. One of the 9 miles top crossover from 9 miles. There's God. That is even for me.
So we're just going to sit with them a little bit longer.
4 and 5 years. There's a whole one.
We believe, we're pretty certain this group here are known as the Birmingham Males. They're the Birmingham Males, and we're pretty certain these 4 are them, and we're definitely going to be keeping a close eye on them. They killed a buffalo a couple of days ago, according to some of the other guides, and we'll be... but definitely a force to be reckoned with. They're far from fully developed in the sense of their size. They'll probably get a bit bigger, and they are probably about 2.5, 3 years old, probably 3 years old, and they've got a few years to go before they develop that massive, beautiful, impressive, showy mane.
We moved from there to standard 2. Yeah, Matimba, yeah. Matimba. Moved from there to standard. That's a dominant market. I think maybe this one will survive. It might not be close to others. Just wanted to stop the timber. Yeah, not just get anything. And go everywhere. And don't run so much to the other like 50.
They spend 20 hours a day doing this. Look at that, isn't that fantastic? They do 20 hours a day doing this, lying around. Pretty much inactive, a little bit of socialising maybe, but they spend about 4 hours of the day hunting. Or going for water or combined, but at the moment they're definitely in their relaxed mode.
Sorry over disturbing from the Sorry, can't be over disturbing from the camera, talking about camera.
No problem. No problem.
Can get ham. Not to get ham or half hour. Yeah, but I'll come up. I didn't understand it's Birmingham. That called Birmingham.
We might just see if one of them does sit up.
Zimbabwe is the place I grew up. I grew up in Zimbabwe. I grew up in Zimbabwe. I worked in Zimbabwe. I decided to move from Zimbabwe coming from the way another place. And I see something different. stay in one place, you know each other.
So we have a vehicle next to us, folks, which is fantastic because this is what it's all about. It's all about sharing these encounters with as many of the guests as we possibly can in a respectful way to the animals, and normally 2 vehicles, sometimes 3, depending on the situation, on the location at a time, and that really does relieve the pressure on the animals, but also allows several vehicles to come through and see these fantastic, majestic beasts.
Do you mind if I go more forward? No. I know. Sorry?
They're starting to move around a little bit at the moment, so we might just sit here for a bit longer. It is cooling down a little bit, not much, but a little bit. They're rolling around. We might get one that sits up any second, so we should stick a little bit here for a little bit longer if that's okay. And then we might see what Pete's up to, but we'll just wait a little bit with these guys and see how we go. And I think most people are absolutely fine with us staying here. It's not often you come across 4 males only 5 metres from you, about 15 feet away from our vehicle.
Can you help me, brother? Help them there? Yep.
Just got a really interesting question from Richard in Oakham in the United Kingdom. Hi Richard, and welcome aboard. It's a great question. Would there be potentially a dominant male within these 4? Now, the answer to that is, firstly, yes, there potentially is. There would be definitely one animal that's more dominant than the others. But when it comes to them taking over a pride, there will definitely be one animal that dominates, and the others will be more submissive. He will probably get the mating rights, and but that can also change within the dynamics of the 4. going back to that sort of coalition structure and the dynamic that happens amongst the four of them, it'll be a very, very different situation when there's females in the equation. So at the moment they probably get on reasonably well, and they will do for many different reasons, for security, for success, and when they do take over a pride eventually and become those big males which may last 2.5, 3 years, there's lots of variables in that as well. There will definitely be a dominancy or a ranking order between them. Now they do have quite intense scuffles or encounters with each other in that situation when there's a female in estrus, or when she's coming into breeding, the opportune breeding time. There will be battles for that. It's normally within that coalition a bit more sort of dramatic and not theatrical. They definitely give each other a few blows, but they're more likely to not want to inflict injury or suffer from injury, either of them, so it's a little bit more dramatic and theatrical. But it's still pretty serious, but nowhere near the intensity of a pride takeover. So we're here by ourselves now. That other game vehicle, that drive safari vehicle that came on, there's about 10 people sitting, or 9 people sitting on that vehicle, and they've all seen lions today, which is a pretty amazing thing. It's a great thing to walk away from and sit at your dinner tonight and know that you've been in the presence of these incredible, incredible creatures. So we've just got a great question from Tony in Ireland about how many cubs do lions normally have. The answer to that, Tony, is 2 to 3 is normal, sometimes 4, but the chances of survival can be a little bit tricky. But if it's a coalition like this, they might have, they've got a great protection system around them, and also the mothers are very, very, very protective. They get weaned at about 8 months, but the interesting thing is the size of them when they're born. Now they can weigh about 2 kilograms when they're born, and what's that in pounds? Is that about 4.5 pounds or something like that? And they're defenseless pretty much when they're born, and they totally rely on their mother's care for a considerable amount of time before they can join in with the pride sort of activities of the day. So they can keep up with the pride about 7-ish weeks, 6 to 7 weeks. They can start to keep up with the pride. And they just start to bulk on the weight from there on in, and learn the rules of the pride as well very, very quickly. Who gets what and how they get it, and particularly around meal time, they'll learn very, very quickly about that. One really interesting fact, and it's a big number, so it could vary quite considerably, but it's estimated that a male can have to mate with a female up to 1,500 times to have a successful pregnancy. 1,500 matings thereabouts to have a successful mating. So they've definitely got their work cut out for them in that that estrus period on the with the female. Sometimes when the youngsters aren't old enough to go out on a hunt or keep up, and they can be left for a period of time, which they are very vulnerable to hyena, African rock python, loads of different predators would potentially take a lion cub. So the success rate of survival can be stacked against them, but with a big pride, and if they synchronise their which does happen, synchronise their breeding times, it can be a huge benefit to the cubs and their survival rate, because there will be communal feeding. Other mothers will suckle other lionesses' cubs. So it can be work to their benefit hugely if the estrus period is synchronised. I just got a lovely tweet from Suzanne, not really a question but just a comment, and it's really nice, Suzanne, thank you so much. She said she's watching the sleeping lions while she's having her afternoon coffee and a piece of cherry pie. Oh, I could do with a piece of cherry pie right now. VM, could you do with a piece of cherry pie?
Sure, it's coming up.
Oh, that'd be nice. I've got water at the moment. I'll just settle for some H2O. This is quite nice just sitting here, folks, if it's okay with you. I think it's worthwhile, you know, when you're in the presence of these incredible creatures, just to sit and be and wait for them to wake up is quite a nice thing. And they're getting a little bit more active. They're stirring a little bit, but then they sort of go back to sleep. But it's nice just to be in their presence. And nice to be stationary for a little bit as well, rather than driving over those roads all the time. Those roads are important to us, but at the same time it's lovely just to sit static and listen to the bush, listen to the sounds of the bush, the crickets and the different birds, and also these guys. So just a little bit more about that sort of coalition. Is there dominancy here, and would there be more dominancy with the females? We've talked about that. But the thing I also have seen before with the coalition, that they actually didn't even have a scuffle or an encounter or an engagement with each other the two males, the one male just, when he knew that the female was in estrus, he went and mated with her, and the other male didn't even blink an eye really. So there's so many different sort of scenarios, and it probably depends a lot on the animal's personality as well, and what's going on within the pride dynamics. So unless you work with lines side by side every day and know a pride back to front, there would probably be reason for that they could, researchers and scientists would explain. But there's all different scenarios with these coalitions, and it's very complex, but it seems to work. Great power, great strength, and they definitely can do a huge takeover of a pride very easily. There's an interesting thing I always think, well, I just find it an interesting fact that lion, they will, we've talked about it a little bit before about if they came across leopard. If they come across cheetah as well, they definitely have no problem taking on a cheetah if the situation was in their favour. But they've been known easily to eat all the carnivores. I think there's an exception with spotted hyena for some reason. They have a tendency not to touch them, but they will definitely take them on and potentially fatally wound a hyena, but they don't have a tendency to eat them, whereas they will eat leopard and they will eat cheetah. So they are really the top of the order when it comes to the carnivores. They're the muscles behind it all. I'd really love to see one of these guys sit up, just to show you their true majesty and power. But at the moment, it looks pretty flat and comfortable where they are. The sun has gone behind a bit of a cloud stream. It's not rain, so we're absolutely fine. We're not going to have to rush to cover at this point. We're just going to sit for a little bit longer. It's getting much cooler now. But that band up there that you can see, that's the sort of cloud that we saw coming towards us last night, but there's definitely a break in that band, and it's really high. I think we're so fine. If you've just joined us, we're sitting with 4 male lions here on Arathusa, the magnificent Arathusa, excuse me, stumbling there, magnificent Arathusa Game Reserve in Sabi Sands, South Africa, and it's coming to you live. Even though these guys might look a little bit asleep, they're very still. They've been doing a bit of rolling around. You'll see a bit of a tail flick here and there, and ears, the little annoying biting flies on them. But we're sitting with 4 beautiful, absolutely majestic lions. Well, I think what the best thing to do now is, I'm happy to sit for a bit longer if that's okay with everyone, and you can send us a few tweets and a few emails or however you want to contact us there, just to let us know what your feelings are. These boys could become active, or when I say active, could sit up and move or anything any second. Doesn't look like it now, I know, but we're here. We're the only vehicle it's quite beautiful and quite peaceful. So we might sit here for a bit longer. Let's cross to Pete and see what he's up to. I think he's probably looking for that leopard that had the impala kill up that tree very, very close to our control room and our research centre. So let's cross to Pete and we'll see what he's up to and see what he can find. I'm sure he's looking for a leopard. We'll see you soon.
Well, some lazy lions sleeping off the heat of the day. And we've done a bit of a loop around, not too much going on, a little bit of impala, general game here and there. But we are now right back at Waitzela Lodge again. In fact, the turn off down to the lodge reception is just in front, you can see there. And we are back here because, I think that was a log, let's just make sure. We are back here because, yeah, this morning they found an impala carcass up in the tree. Yeah, it's still there. So at some stage this leopard should come and fetch it, but it is right in the middle of the lodge area. The camp where we're doing the control room from, where Will and them are, is just behind us. There you can see the remains of a baby impala, very, very young impala. But it is almost certain that this leopard will come back. Now we've got a feeling it might be Karula, or if not Karula, it'll be one of the two young boys. The leopard was seen briefly this morning by a couple of guys walking back to, or from the control room to the camp area, but not again since. And as I said, it could be any of the three. From the tracks I saw, I've got a feeling it's Karula, but at this stage, the two young males at almost 2 years old, their tracks are very much the same as Karula. So it could be any of them, maybe Djuma, maybe Karula, maybe Quarantine. And we won't know if it's one of them until we see them. And I have a feeling they will come back, but it might only be much later, who knows. However, I do think they are in the area, so let's go look around. That's the footpath going down to the Star Village area. Control room in Yuri, the owner's house is just behind here. Waitzela Lodge, that road that we turned on to look at the carcass, that goes right down to reception. So right in the middle of all the activity. Look at these guys a bit, we don't see them all that often. Beautiful birds. Could sort of say that the chickens of the African bush. You can see the very visual or very striking facial markings, the blue head and the sort of red comb, or red on top with a comb. And this is where they get their name from. They're called helmeted guinea fowl. Always looks to me a little bit like those old Roman helmets. And very much like chickens, they eat almost anything. They'll catch little insects and bugs and also eat seeds and whatever they can get their beaks on. leopard not there yet, and we've left. And there's an element of luck now. I mean, we have to just catch this cat at the right time. If she or he is busy sleeping somewhere in the bush, there's no, very, very small chance of just finding them. But it is getting cooler. The sun is busy disappearing behind some clouds in the west. And this is when they start moving. So if we just do all the little roads in this area, we're going to go past sort of around the lodges now. Go past the open area on the western side of Galago Camp and then towards the dam by Boyatella. And it's not unlikely that we could find him or her at one of these waterholes, or just moving along the road. They're just taking a little walk. So let's see. It's a pleasure to have you on the vehicle with us. This is Raphael Senior asking if what area of the reserve is covered by roads. Well, there's various answers to this, Raphael, but basically Sabi Sands Game Reserve, which is about 60,000 hectares, 160 or so thousand acres, the whole reserve is covered in roads. It depends on which area, obviously whose land it is, how many roads and so forth, but I don't actually know specifically Djuma, for instance, how many roads relative to the size of the area. In other words, so many kilometers of road per square kilometer. But there's a fair amount of road networks. Obviously you have your bigger roads that, for if you want to travel a bit faster, or the ones that go specifically from A to B. Then you have a lot of these type of roads that we are now, little tracks more than roads. That can not be very fast travel, but you don't need to be traveling fast. We're here to find animals and enjoy the outdoor scene. So I love these little, the smaller the roads the better. I love it when you're just going down a little track. And I like roads that turn and wind, because it gives you lots of opportunities to be surprised by something when you come around the corner. And Raphael, I just have to tell you, I'm quite close to my dad, and I'm very lucky to now have a son myself. He's 6 weeks old, and we might just dip the antenna under the tree. And I just want to tell you, because it's a good thing or a great thing to be able to tell someone that you've got a great son. You should know that. Rafi, that's been out here with us, has been a great addition in so many ways to the team. He's creative genius as well, and his ideas and his thoughts, all those things. But all in all, just a great guy, and I know that parents play a big role in that, so it's my privilege to tell you that. Just so you know, we here in Africa think he's alright. Very alright. And very sad that he's leaving. He's going back to Atlanta, so you guys are going to see him soon. That's great, but we would have loved if Rafi could have stuck around a bit longer. But he's got some good stories to tell you. He's going to be having a good few dinner parties together, and maybe a turkey potjie. He'll explain that little cooking dish that he bought himself here in Africa. Right, this is the area I wanted to come and look at, because there's good water. This area there, there's a little watering hole which has got quite good fresh water in it. It's pumped in there, and I was hoping that perhaps a leopard thought to go have a drink of fresh water, but it doesn't look like it, or at least not from what I can see. But we'll keep looking. Keep believing. It's a big part of looking for wildlife. You must believe that you're going to see nice things. hippo tracks on the road here, but no leopard tracks that I can see. Quite a nice bird, which don't fly, stick around. Beautifully skyline against the clouds there. This is a grey lory, often referred to as a go-away bird. In Afrikaans we call them a kweevoël, which means literally translated a kwee bird, because the sound they make sounds like this. You're probably guessing it already. Kwee. Hence kwee bird. Hear them often around the waterholes calling somewhere in the distance. It's a sound that carries quite far. Kwee, there's one calling. Kwee. Yes, that's very true. Just a comment there from Patty. Patty saying that Raphael Sr. should also know that his son has now got an elephant name after him in Africa. Rafi the elephant. We saw him this morning on Drive Again. Spiderweb. That will be more and more now as well. After this rain, we'll get more spiders coming out. So in the morning to drive, every now and again, you just get these tickly sensation around across your face. It's a little spiderweb that you drove through. Here's an example of a couple of good thorns. This is one of your acacias. This was actually eaten by an elephant, interestingly enough. This top of the branch was bitten off by an ellie. This shows you beautifully, look at how big they are. Massive thorns. This is this Acacia robusta. It's got a couple of different names: splendid thorn or an ankle thorn. Amazing to think that elephants will still eat that. What they do is they just flatten the thorns down in one direction with their trunk normally, and then they sort of feed it into the mouth from the side, and they just crunch them down as they take it into their mouth. Normally acacias, they don't eat for the thorns, obviously. They eat them for the bark and the thinner twigs, the leaves as well, but quite often for the bark. A bit of water everywhere. This is from the rain last night. That That's a bit of a... if you could hear that. It's the squishy mud. Through this dip, and then we're coming up with Gowrie water on our right hand side. So as always, a little bit more attention, a little bit more sort of awareness. It really is like that the whole time, but when you approach water, always good to look around extra careful. Whistling ducks, whistling. Stations, Naru, Makulun, Amazon, and Gowrie Dam. We'll make our way down towards the water just now. Just thought I'll give it a quick check again here along the drainage line. Earlier today we came and did a short walk here with Rafi and with Scott, who you will meet very soon. Scott will also be taking out drives as of Monday in the mornings. Yeah, great squirrel alarm calls, Franklin alarm calls. Didn't find anything, but just because we didn't find anything doesn't mean there isn't something there. Let's have a bit of a look here. Bed for a bit. Smell that. Strong smell of a carcass or a species here, but possibly a carcass. Could just be dung from a leopard or hyena even, but not much of a breeze, but it's coming from that side. Bugs around it. Little things of summer. Through the giraffe dip here. I'm going to do another loop sort of east and south around Giraffe Dip Nyala Road. This is the time when things start moving. It's cooling down quite pleasantly now from what it was earlier today, so just keep looking around, keep seeing what's going on, hoping those lions as well with HT, with this temperature dropping a bit, they might start thinking about becoming active. Should there's any movement, get you back there. Let's see what happens as we sort of settling down towards early evening. going to get or necessarily get a spectacular sunset this afternoon. We've got some heavy cloud blocking some of the western horizon or the western skyline. But nonetheless, always beautiful seeing colors up there in the sky and little bits of cloud catching the last sun rays. If it does go pink, we'll stop and have a look again. Hello, Mr. Zebra. Very healthy looking stallion. He's limping a bit. What that's from? Maybe he's been fighting a bit with another zebra or something. I don't know. Maybe hurt his foot running away from a predator. But just a light limp. Probably just a little sore muscle. There's another beautiful view, looking against that early evening sky. Okay, we just doesn't feel like it maybe, but we're going slightly downhill. Just up ahead here there's an area called Spaghetti Junction, and it's just a place where quite a few roads meet in the riverbed and they sort of go different directions, so hence Spaghetti. I was just thinking it might break up a little bit ahead, but that's not a concern because it's getting cooler and there might be a little bit of life in those cats. So enjoy this with HT, enjoy the lions a bit.
Well, we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and now we have waking lions, which is absolutely fantastic. This individual got up to have a bit of a stretch and go and do his business, and then came back over and sat right in front of us here. He's about 4 meters away from us at the moment. Still a little bit sleepy, but incredible, absolutely incredible. He's been sitting up and looking down through under the vegetation to see if there's any opportunities arising. Had his nose in the air for about 2 or 3 minutes as well, sniffing, picking up scent of something. VM asked if it was us, and I assured VM it wasn't. Between you and me, I'm not really sure about that, but they are definitely looking around for opportunities if they arise, but at the moment they're not going out to any effort to do that. If something presented itself to them, they would probably take, maybe an opportunity. They've got full bellies still, and they're looking nice and full, and the word from the guides that have seen these individuals over the past few days, they did take a buffalo about 2.5 days ago. So they're still okay, but they will definitely be looking for some energy and another kill as pretty soon, I'd say. Tonight might not be the night, but not in our timeline anyway. But you never know what could happen after we close, and we'll definitely come back and listen to what's happened last night over on this fantastic reserve, Arathusa. So it's just been a bit of a sitting and waiting game today. It's been quite beautiful though. Just a really nice, peaceful encounter with these incredible predators, and them tolerating our presence within 4 meters of them. We are. It's about 12 feet. And he came to us. He came and sat there. We didn't move any closer. We've stayed stationary ever since we arrived. We've got a little bit of movement from our upside down character under the tree, who's watching me upside down. I don't know what that looks like, but he's just gone back to sleep as well. They do find great comfort in lying on their backs with their legs in the air. A lot of lions do this position. Got another one over to the left doing exactly the same thing. Lying on his back and his back legs in the air. Very comfortable. He looks like he wants to get a little bit more active, this guy, but tiredness seems to be overcoming him, or the heat. I think the thing that I can share with you most is the feeling that I've got right now. And look at this, beautiful. Thank you, my friend. That's the sort of thing, it's just a little display. Oh, it's a yawn, and it sort of certainly shows me where they take their place in the food chain here, one could say. But the feeling that you get when you're sitting this close to a lion is a very humbling experience. Beautiful, but humbling. Okay, we don't have a roof on our vehicle and we are exposed, but I think we know these animals well enough to watch their behaviour and see that we're no threat to them and they're no threat to us. At this point, we would never do anything. Look at those beautiful displays of teeth there. As long as we didn't break the shape of this vehicle, it's very important when you're watching lions, you don't stand up, you don't make any sudden movements, and they get used to you very, very quickly. The light is definitely going down. But we've still got some good time with them. He's beautiful, isn't he? We've got about 30 minutes to go, folks, and I know Pete's desperately looking for that leopard, but it may be that he or she, whoever the leopard is, comes back right on close. So we'll still stick with that. We've got two very beautiful scenarios here, or situations I should say. We've got 4 male lions that could all sit up at any second, or we potentially have a leopard that comes back to her kill that she's put into a tree. Patty has just sent us a tweet and she is wanting to know what the noise is in the background. It is Franklin's, Patty, you're correct, giving that sort of late evening call that they do, with another one off in the distance doing the same. It's a really fantastic call that it's part of the African evening, those Franklin calls to each other, and combined with guinea fowl I can hear off in the distance, and and there's a lot of other birds going around that might be just out of our range. There's definitely, I don't know if you can hear this bird. I can hear it from here. I can hear two. I'm just going to get it up for you to show you it first and see if you can hear what it is. It is this beautiful bird here, and we're just, it's great, the line in the background, and isn't that great? A line in the background, we're talking about an emerald spotted wood dove, and that emerald spotted wood dove is such a beautiful call, beautiful call. Beautiful call that we hear in the African bush most nights, and I can hear them as well. So Paddy, thank you very much for your tweet, and that's kind of fun, isn't it? Tweeting about a bird call. But yes, francolins they were, and also emerald spotted wood doves and guinea fowl. Loads of crickets, loads of insects. It's just beautiful. And we do have another vehicle coming down now, so if you do hear something else that doesn't sound like an emerald spotted wood dove or a francolin or a guinea fowl, it probably will be humans in a vehicle. Folks, we're going to cross back to Peter because Pete and Brian think they've found Brian and VM, the wildebeest calves. So we'll see you just now. Cross back to Pete and see if it is who it is, and we'll be right here with these guys. We'll see you soon.
Well, from lions to wildebeest, and we pulled in here hoping to find VM and Brian, then thought it's not the herd, but I have just spotted Brian. There he is. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, oh, there's a third one as well. So there's three calves in this herd now. 2 mornings ago, huh?
Yeah.
My days get blurry, which is which day, but 2 mornings ago, so Thursday morning, we saw not one, but 2 live births of wildebeest calves. It was amazing. The first one was spotted by VM, and aptly the calf was called VM, who's the cameraman with HT on the vehicle with the lions at the moment. And then when we came to join them and have a look, there's a little jump there from the antelope. When we came and joined them to have a look, actually there was a question, if I remember, it was from Patty or someone asking, how do you recognize these calves? How do you know which one is which? And I must admit, I'm going to have a hard time finding VM again. But the second calf we saw being born was a very sort of relatively fast birth, is this little guy, aptly named Brian, after the cameraman on Djuma with me. And Brian we will be able to recognize because Brian's mum, right there with him, has got that funny horn. You see the horn is sort of skew at a funny angle. So we can recognize him because of his mum. Wait, guys, what's going on? These impalas are suddenly very alert. Yeah, there's something. We came looking for a leopard and I don't see it yet. But the impala seem to have seen something. That's their alarm call, that shh. Now, little Brian, you must stick close to mum. Let's have a look. They're looking back that way. There's a lot of animals on this open area. Blue wildebeest, impala, zebra, baby impala, baby wildebeest. Where are they looking? There we go. Whoa, that was a big jump. Ah, what is that? What is that? What is that? Where are we? Come on, guys, what have you seen? There's some impala down here not making alarm calls, so it might have been a false alarm. Happens to all of us, the same with impala. So that was a pretty convincing call they had. There's two impalas down this way, just coming up. There you go, on the side of the road. They're not making alarm calls and they're not looking too worried, so let's take a look around and see if we can find what the fuss was about. We do know there's a leopard here somewhere. The question is just where. Of bugs tonight. I see Brian just swatting and swiping there in your hair every now and again. The worst is when I get into your eyes or into your ears, nose, mouth. Yeah, that's summertime. False alarm for now, but since we're not far away, let's quickly go check on that carcass in the tree. Maybe this sort of early darkness or sorry, that was a rather big something that hit me in the ear there. Just around the corner, literally in the next 20 seconds, we'll have a look at that carcass again. Lots of insects around, lots of these flying ants or termites, really. No, still up in the tree. Nothing around that we can see. Almost certainly the leopard will come for this, but I said earlier, if we're lucky it could be around about now, but it could also be somewhere in the middle of the night. Just depending. Leopard have got all the patience in the world. That's why they're such formidable hunters. It's 5 minutes or half an hour. Much of a muchness for the leopard. Okay, brilliant. Well, that's good news, and you can have a look at it. Enjoy the lions. Looks like they're getting on the move. See you just now.
Well, folks, we waited around for the right time, that's for sure. They all just got up, and they all have stretched and socialised and showed this fantastic greeting to each other, and now they're off, walking silently through the woodland here. What we're going to do, folks, is just wait until this last one moves up a little bit, and we'll just go around and see what they're up to. Lovely bit of behaviour here. If you can just see, stretching there and marking that tree with his claws. Might do a spray. A little bit of a urine spray. Oh, you can actually smell them. Just hoping that I'm going to be able to get out this way. I'm not really sure. You might be able to get up through here. Very lucky. Did we go this way before, mate?
We'll try.
We're going to just try and go up through here, folks, if we can. Put some lights on here. See where these guys have gone. We might actually go out the way we came in. It might be easier, and then we're not going to lose them. A little bit tricky through here, so just bear with us. Okay, I'm going to just quickly send you back to Pete because he's got a great termite mound emergence, which is exactly what we've been waiting for. Racer, this is for you. Go and see what Pete's got for you. I'm going to catch these lights.
Switch the headlights on.
Headlights on.
Okay.
Headlights on are good.
Tell me when they cut.
They're gonna cut soon.
Okay.
You're live, you're live.
Well, guys, from the lions, there's something to show you quickly, and we'll get back to those lions shortly. But there is just an amazing example of these termite mounds, just thousands, perhaps millions of them tonight, leaving the mounds, going to start new colonies, or try at least. I'm going to just put some light on them from a different angle to show you. Like that, Brian? More from the side.
Yeah, that's not bad. Find it more. Yeah, there.
Whole area like this. cover there. Yeah, one was sitting in my hand there but just flew off again. But the floor as well, the ground there amongst the grass is just covered in termites, just literally thousands and thousands of them. So just another spectacular thing after the rains. And sorry, let me just get my earpiece back in, but I'm sure we want to get back to those lions. We just really wanted to show you these termites against this beautiful night sky. Really something special. Alright, so yes, showed you this, and enjoy getting back to the lions. We've got a little bit of time left. We're going to look around if there isn't maybe a leopard, but enjoy the lions and see you soon. It's amazing.
So folks, we've just got the last glimpse of them walking through there. There's one just lying down there, you can see. He's just sitting there. They've just moved off position now, and it's just getting up. We've just got the spotlight on there, folks. It's a little bit difficult to see. They've gone right into that deep country inside there. And you can just see the remnants of them in the spotlights up there. Very last glimpses of them walking through into the night. And I think that's a beautiful way to leave them. That country through there is just way too thick for us to follow, and particularly at night. They're on a mission now. We'll be following them. We've got 10 minutes to go, and okay, so we're going to go back to Peter quickly again. We've got hyenas doing something incredible. We'll see you real soon, hopefully before the end. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, but let's cross to Pete.
Well, from lions to termites, back to lions, and back to the termites essentially. We are looking at hyena, but this hyena is eating termites because there are so many of them. Just driving through it at the moment, we're driving very slowly and just getting struck by them the whole time. So animals are very opportunistic, and you can see around the hyena just thousands of these insects. And as he's walking around, or she, I think it's a he, just looking at the size. Really just nice. He was standing at one place just eating away, so obviously as they were coming out the ground he was getting that very, very rich source of protein. Just follow this hyena a little bit. I think that impala up in the tree certainly plays a role in his presence. It's back at the same spot as earlier. Well, that's amazing. I mean, as we said, this big rain we had yesterday really has a big influence on so many things. And all those termites we saw just now flying out of the termite mound area to big animals like this hyena that's making the most of it. This is an opportunity, Yep, there we go. And you have to catch a lot of them, but there are literally thousands to go for. So spend an hour or two snapping up termites, or flying ants. I mean, it's the flying termites leaving the nest. You'll get a mouth or a belly full of food. These termites are flying off to go start new colonies, so they can actually breed, and if they do find other ones, wherever they end up, once they've flown away, they will breed, dig a little hole, and effectively start new little colonies. But tonight, millions of them will be eaten by everything from hyenas to jackals to nightjars, you know, all kinds of nocturnal birds. Even leopard and lion have been known to take advantage of this opportunity when it comes along. And tonight is this is about as good as I've ever seen it. I think the hyena will agree. This, of course, is the spotted hyena. I didn't mention specifically. We tend to just refer to them as hyenas, but you do get... Sorry, just heard a hyena calling way in the distance. You do get two other kinds of hyena, or three, depending on how you look at it. You get the striped hyena in northern Africa, more from, not in this area that we are, more north from here. Then you get the brown hyena, which you could actually see here in Sabi Sands, but you see them more typically in places like the Kalahari, the Namibian west coast, in the desert. And then you get the aardwolf, which is also part of the hyena family. And the aardwolf actually specializes in eating termites and ants, but mainly termites. Other insects as well. I mean, they will catch little bugs and things like that, but they do specialize to a large extent in termites. So aardwolf would be having a blast tonight. Just a couple of snacks on the go as well while walking along. This is awesome. Really enjoying this. Sort of occurrences in nature. Oh, just turn a bit. So we're going obviously past the nest here because it's suddenly even more than further back. So it's got beautiful markings, almost like two lines running across the, sort of one at the, just to the left and the right of the spine, and then one sort of along the side of the body. Sorry, just had a bug or two go up my sleeve there. So while there's hyenas going behind that bush, I'm going to have a very, very short look just down the road. And then just before we say goodnight, we'll come back to this hyena again. So a big squiz there where the impalas were calling earlier. No, they've been quiet again now, so as I said, false alarms happens to all of us. Yeah, the impalas have all relaxed a bit, so I'm not sure what they saw earlier. Maybe they smelled something, maybe they saw a funny movement. They've all been a bit jumpy. I mean, only last night one of them was taken by the leopard. I think let's go say goodnight with this hyena that's having a wonderful time with all the termites. Oh, he must go to where we saw them earlier. He will just stand and just bite until his belly's full. Beautiful face. I like hyenas. Something slightly comical about them as well. There he's eating a bit of grass. Yeah. Oh no, they're sitting on the grass. That's what he's doing. I couldn't figure out. Sorry, now that I'm actually see better with the camera. This is so cool. It's not something you see very often. Really are, you know, these are very rare occurrences. It happens, but to actually see it, to actually witness it is quite special. Well, on that note, the hyena's getting a belly full of termites. We're going to have to say goodnight. It's been a wonderful afternoon, nice and hot. Lots of insect life. Sort of a bit of a change coming along from all the rain. And I just want to say goodbye and thank you very much for joining us here at Wild Earth and Sabi Sands. Always a pleasure to have you on live safari with us. My name's Peter Pretorius. Brian, also from VM and HT on the other side. All the guys in control. Will Fox, thank you very much for the directing side. And to the whole team. It's such a privilege to be part of all this. So most importantly, thank you for joining us from wherever you might be in the world. It is because of you and everyone else that we can do this. It is, I'll go into detail tomorrow how amazing this is for all of us. So good night. Tomorrow morning, maybe a leopard, maybe more lion, maybe a full-bellied hyena. Bye-bye.
Start and end your day on safari.